Well, welcome to Merit TV Canada's Election Watch. My name is David Leis, and we're going to be reviewing some of the policy highlights in this dynamic election. The polls seem to be indicating a fairly close race, although the Liberals do seem to have an edge, as we look at a myriad of polls. And one of the questions is, how accurate are those polls? But it seems to be showing the Liberals at about 42% in the polls, followed by the Conservatives at approximately 38%. And then the NDP at 8.5%, according to a recent Nanos poll. In news, today we've heard a lot of policy announcements from the different party leaders, including the NDP, with Jagmeet Singh pledging to close offshore tax loopholes.
This is an example of the difference between us and them. We believe that everybody in our country should be paying their fair share. And when hardworking people are filling out their taxes, we're in tax season, and they see that a company that makes massive profits in Canada decides to register in a foreign country, they're like, well, I can't do that. I can't just change my address and make my address Bermuda and not pay my taxes. And what does it say about the person that was the chair of that company? It says that they think, that Mark Carney thinks it's okay to not contribute to the Canadian economy. It means it's okay not to support families. It's okay not to invest in the healthcare that we need. It shows you that he doesn't have the right priorities.
We also heard from the Liberal leader, Mark Carney, announcing initiatives to try to promote more housing for Canadians. And also he made a recent announcement pledging an additional $150 million for the CBC.
If elected, my government will take action to enshrine and protect and strengthen CBC Radio Canada for generations to come. We will modernize the mandate of our public broadcaster. We will give it the resources it needs to fulfill its renewed mission and ensure that its future is guided by all Canadians and not subject to the whims of a small group of people led by ideology. When it comes to this most important of Canadian institutions, all Canadians should have their say, not just a small group. We will not only increase CBC Radio Canada's funding by $150 million, but we will also make this funding statutory, meaning that Parliament as a whole will need to approve any future changes to its funding, not just the Cabinet.
And meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre made a number of announcements, including a proposed three strikes crime law and promising a biggest crackdown on serious crime. He also made a commitment regarding so-called national energy utility corridors. Pierre Poilievre was also making statements regarding his vision to crack down on tax loopholes for offshore accounts. On the international news side, the Trump administration continues to modify its tariff policies with a so-called 90-day pause on nations as it continues to try to rebalance its trade relationships around the world. In the case of China and Canada, however, tariffs will continue. And in this case, we see that China has a whopping 125% on products coming from China. In other news, Canadian officials held a media conference during this election period to announce their concerns that foreign interference is undertaken through the communications platform WeChat. In this case, the concern is that Chinese officials are using the platform to influence voters for supporting the candidacy of Mark Carney. Well, as we wrap up this weekend's policy update, I do want to leave you with three questions. The first one is silence, and one is clarity. In the case of silence, my question to you is, be sure to listen to not only what our candidates are saying in this election, but what they're not saying. One of the concerns that I would have from a policy point of view is the lack of discussion regarding our record deficits and debt. Those are surely important issues, and surely that's not a sustainable path for our nation. The second question is one of clarity. It behooves us during this election period of debate and discussion where we make choices about the future of our country for candidates to be clear on their policies for all the big issues, including energy. Well, in the case of election promises, what are candidates' position when it comes to this long war on Canadian oil and gas? We know that Canadian energy is foundational to our prosperity, to our economy, every aspect of our lives. And so the question is, the last 10 years, we've experienced a long war on Canadian oil and gas. Will that continue? Well, it's not entirely clear what the Liberal platform is regarding this question. So, both silence and clarity are very important questions to ask. And finally, my third question is to you. Are you registered to vote? This is an opportunity to exercise your franchise, so make sure you do it.